You can solve equations like this no problem, and if you can't, have a look at part 1 of this series of videos. And you know what to do here. Always collect like terms on each side of the equation before you even begin to solve it. But what makes this equation different is that we have an x term on both sides of the equation. We can easily deal with this, there's just an extra couple of steps. First, decide which x term is the boss. Who's in charge here? Well, it's always the bigger x term. So in this case, plus 5x is in charge. So we need to undo the other x term on the other side of the equation. Simply do this by doing the opposite on both sides. Since this is plus 2x, we'll subtract 2x from both sides. And here we have an equation that you're used to solving. I look at the number and do the opposite on both sides. I look at the number in front of the x, plus 3, and divide both sides by this number. All being well, this should cancel, and I'm left with my answer. What about this equation? Well, there's an x term on both sides of the equation, but who's the boss here? Did I catch you out? 2x is the boss. It's bigger than minus 4x because minus 4x is a negative number. So it's the minus 4x we need to eliminate or undo. So we do the opposite on both sides of the equation. And the opposite of minus 4x is plus 4x. And now it's a simple equation that we know how to solve. Look at the number and do the opposite to both sides. I then look at the number in front of the x and divide both sides by this number. All being well, this cancels, and I'm left with my answer. I can try and make it more difficult by making it 2 questions in one. You've got to expand these brackets before you can even begin to solve the equation. And now I've got an equation with an x term on both sides. Just as before, I decide which x is the boss. In this case, the 3x is the largest. So it's the minus 2x that I undo by doing the opposite on both sides. I've now got a simple equation we can solve. This is correct. The answer is minus 9/5, but it's a top-heavy fraction, so we'll change it into a mixed number. So here's some equations for you to have a go at solving. Remember, you can always check your answer by substituting back into the original equation. Check that the left-hand side of the equation evaluates to be the same as the right-hand side of the equation, and you can be sure that the value of x that you found is correct.